Thank you very much. It's so nice to be here in Jaipur. You know, I've attended JLF in London, but to be here, what I think is sacred ground, at the queen of all literary festivals, or Amma, you would say the Kashi of all literary festivals.
Yes, yes.
And to be here on stage, talking to one of my most favorite people in the world, is really a dream come true, and I am so grateful to be here. And Amma, you know, I have so much to say, and you know, I love talking to you about anything and everything, but I want you to know I cherish you deeply, and our relationship is one I treasure in life in so many special ways. So thank you for making time. So my mother and I, we both lead busy lives. We don't find a lot of time to talk. So when you get us together, we could go on for hours and hours, but we have about 45 minutes. So I had to get my mind to really focus. And I thought, well, what are some of the things we like talking about? And I think books and reading is something we have discussed from when I was a little girl. You know, you introduced me to books, we talked about books, and we both love stories. And you're a great storyteller, we all know that. But I think books do something else. To me, the books you introduced me to and reading introduced me to life's values. How do you read a book and take away something so special from it? And to me, what I take away from books, from some of the books, are some of life's most valuable lessons. So I thought today we could use the time we have together to talk about books and talk about values. Do you think that's a good plan, Amma?
Yeah, good morning to everyone. It is not a mother-daughter appreciation club. Okay? You should be much more than that, because I'm sure all mothers love their daughters. All fathers love their son. Okay? Anyway, so we will have something meaningful discussion. What is the value I taught them through books, why books are so essential, and how books help us to learn many things which you did not know, unlocking the ignorance, okay, and unlocking the knowledge world, all those things. So we'll discuss about that.
Thank you. So one of my earliest memories, Amma, is of you telling me stories. And these were stories about ancient India. There were also stories about ancient Egypt. There were stories about different countries, different cultures. But you also told me stories about Marie Curie, about Ada Lovelace. And so you taught me history. You taught me philosophy. You taught me science. And you taught me politics, all through storytelling. But you also said to Rohan and me, Rohan is my younger brother, that you learn, of course you learn to pass tests and do well in school, but you learn for life. You never stop learning. I think you've said that the day you stop learning is the day you stop living. And I've really that's really stayed with me. And now when I look at my own girls, Krishna and Anushka, I urge them not just to learn for school, but to learn for life. So where do you think this mindset of learning for life, learning for learning's sake, where did that come from for you?
For me? Well, I come from a teacher's family. My grandfather was the high school teacher, my mother was the school teacher, my father was the professor in a medical college, and married into a teacher's family. My father-in-law was the high school teacher, my brother was the professor, except the odd man out is Narayan Murthy, went for business. Okay? So, when you grow up in a teacher's family, the most valuable thing is not money, knowledge and books. The only gift we used to get was only books. Birthday gifts were only books. Everywhere, any occasion, books were given. And it was told to us, knowledge is so important in life. It's a great weapon in real life. and it cannot be destroyed. Like, I can lose translation, I can say that it is cannot be destroyed, it cannot be, it cannot be hidden, it cannot be bought in the market. It is like how in Gita says, how you should be. Dukkhesh anudikmanaha sukheshu gitaspruha vita raga bhaya krodha. They say, I used to tell, knowledge is most important thing in life, and you have to learn that you have to have that through books. And that is the reason I grew up with books, not with lot of money, but lot of books. And I realized its power, and I passed it on to you. And Rohan, love books. They are your constant companions. They are your never failing friends. And they will teach you a lot, opening the vast garden of knowledge.
And that's absolutely true, because in our home, my mother, Amma, you have a library dedicated to history and literature, and my father has a library dedicated to science and
computer science, particularly
science and technology. And Rishi and I, as we
economics,
as we have planned our own libraries, they're a mix of all of these different subjects. So you're absolutely right. Books are the greatest treasures. Is there a book, Amma, from your vast collection of books that you've authored that reminds you of this value of love for learning?
Yeah. I penned a book by the name How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. In real life, whole generation has left that because it was a textbook. I'm sure. So my grandmother was 62 years old. I was 12 years old, and she did not know the alphabets in Kannada. And she told me, I want to learn Kannada. That's my mother tongue, our mother tongue. And I said, gee, you are old. How can you learn? She said, for learning, age no bar. For learning, age no bar, I want to learn. And I taught her. In traditional Indian family, we touch feet of elders. And when she learned, I was a very strict teacher because I got that power to, to teach someone who is much older than me. Read, write, recite every day, 3 hours. And poor one, she learned in 3 months. And then, to my surprise, when she started reading book, she came and touched my feet. I was shocked. I said, how an elderly person can touch my feet? And she told me a beautiful sentence, Guna sthanam nachalingam namayam. That means, whosoever taught me a single word, who unlocked this knowledge to me, and that person is my teacher. Oh teacher, I salute you. Okay? That is what I learned from my grandmother. Whosoever teaches you, he is or she is your guru. So I wrote this, How I Taught My Grandmother. It's a real life incident. No masala. Right from heart to my hand.
And Amma, you have told me that story so many times growing up.
Yeah.
And remind us what your grandmother's name is.
My grandmother's name was Krishna.
And as you know, your eldest grandchild is also called Krishna.
Because of that.
To represent this continuity of love for learning. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
The next value that's really important in our family is this concept of service and duty. Again, from when I was a little girl, and both Rohan and I, you raised us to really understand that when you live in a community, you give to that community. You're involved in that community in some way, where you don't give for benefit, but you give because that means something to you and to the people you live with. And you've done that from a very young age. When I was little and and it was my birthday, you would say, happy birthday, which was great. But then I was never allowed to have a birthday party because you would take that money and give it to a charity of my choice. And as an 8-year-old, I thought, no, that's not nice for me at all. But you were actually laying the foundations of service back then.
But I used to give you samosa and fruity to all your friends. Okay.
The basics. And when I look at my father, I look at you, Appa, I think you have also exemplified service in your own way, because through business and through your incredible work, you have shown the concept of corporate social responsibility. And you took that mantle on when it wasn't fashionable to do so, and when it wasn't mandated to do so. So you have both exemplified service in the most incredible way. And the other word, along with service, that's meaningful to me, and that was meaningful to Rishi, and still is to our family, is this concept of duty. You do your duty first, and you never worry about the results. So I wonder what you make of these two words, service and duty.
Yeah, you know what I taught you in that, karmanne.
That's right, and you're, I'm going to discuss that book in a minute, but,
Okay.
but I'm curious to know how you view service and duty.
Well, my grandmother, my father's mother, was a widow, and they never went to school, but she was trained to deliver babies in a village, and there were no doctors. I'm talking about 65 years back. And she will go and deliver all around the village. Fortunately, all children survived. Okay, there was no cesarean concept in those days. And she will go to anybody's house, whether they call or not. If the woman is in pain, Ajji is ready with her kit and deliver the baby. No caste, no creed, no language, no barrier. Just do that, come back, take bath, and no expectation. And looking at that, taking that cue, my father became a gynecologist, saying that we have to help women who are in distress because he has seen. Taking that cue, and my father was an atheist. He never believed in God or temple or church or masjid. He said, my temple is my hospital, my patients are my gods. Any moment, middle of the night, he will still go, he will conduct deliveries. This is the part of our family, that service is most important. Taking that cue, my sister Sunanda, she became a gynecologist in a government hospital and helping thousands of women in her 40-year service. So this has come, service has come as a part of our DNA. So for us, helping someone is not that I'm doing anything extra or I'm doing something great. I think it is as good as breathing, drinking water, dressing up. How you do service to someone is part of our life. And it has given me enormous happiness, because I feel when I go up and meet God, I can always say, God, you gave me more than what my plate can hold. I served your children with same faith the way I do puja to you. I don't have anything.
And Amma, there's one book, and I think you and I will certainly agree on this one as well, which to me exemplifies this concept of service, but more so duty, and that's the Bhagavad Gita. And to me, the line in the Gita, which I'm sure many of us know, Karamanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana,
Yeah.
which says, do your duty, do your dharma, and we have a right to do our duty, but we don't have a right to the fruits, to the output in a way. I think that is an incredible way of looking at one's commitment to our actions, but never to the result. And Amma, you have a beautiful story, which I know, but I'd love for you to share, about a time when you served and when you did your duty and it transformed a group of people's lives. Can you share that book with us?
Yeah. All people sitting over here don't think I'm promoting my books. Otherwise also they are sold well. Okay. Okay. Actually, service is part of our life and that is there in our family. I consider not Mr. Murthy as my friend, not as my husband, but as a friend. I always appreciate him. You have created a company. By that creation of wealth is a reduction in poverty. This is also a kind of service he has done to our country. One book I have written, every book has this, but this is a very favorite book of mine, 3,000 Stitches. I worked with the sex workers 20 long years. And I thought I'll be able to change 10, but I could change 3,000 of them. And they made a quilt. They made a quilt with the 3,000 stitches, and everyone I give that as a gift. It was the toughest job in my life was to change them from their profession to bring them to a normal life. And that day when 3,000 of them changed, you know, I stood them on the stage like this in a village where all of them assembled. Suddenly I realized that my wish list is empty. I'm completely satisfied and I'm happy I could do this most difficult work. So this is a book where I describe my journey. They threw rotten tomatoes at me initially. They threw chappals at me. Sometimes I felt, why should I do? Then I remembered resilience, get up, do, because this is your duty. Let them insult you, but it's your duty. And then they realized what they did was wrong. But a sense of duty is very important to our family, and we have passed it on to the next generation.
Thank you, Amma. And I remember you actually called me one day after you had this ceremony with the women, and you cried on the phone because you said, I have no other desire in life. And that's what I find is incredible, is for you, by doing good to someone else, your desires vanish. And I look forward to living that kind of a life thanks to your experiences.
I hope one day you'll also do such a great work helping others and feel my bucket list is empty. Because what a great satisfaction it is.
Yes.
It is not with Infosys shares. It is not with the gold. It is not with the land. It is not with anyone, anything else. It is a satisfaction within you that makes you confident, that makes you always happy. Nothing to do with the wealth.